guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week I wanted to kind of piggyback on what we talked about last week when it came to inflation and the price of auto warranties and labor and parts and all those things, and kind of expand a little bit this week on the used car market. Now, what I'm about to share with you guys is completely my opinion. Again, I don't know what the future looks like. I mean, as a financial professional, I prepare clients for kind of some of the worst case scenarios, but we really like to plan for the best case scenarios too. So kind of splitting the difference is really, really important and kind of looking at it from both sides. And we don't have a crystal ball, so we have no idea what the market's going to do, what the world's going to do, what the feds are going to do, what the banks are going to do, all those things. So with that in mind, take it for what it's worth. Watch this as entertainment. If you agree with me, fantastic. If you think I'm an idiot, then I apologize. But sorry, not sorry. I'm going to go ahead and share my opinions with you guys right here, right now, and talk to you about the future of the used car market. Now, when you look at the costs of new vehicles, every year the newest model comes out and it's a little bit more expensive, and so on and so forth. Where the discrepancy lies is the cost of building, right? If you build a car brand new from the ground up, parts are not cheap, components are not cheap, labor is not cheap. All those things compiled is not cheap. So companies like Ford, General Motors, Porsche, BMW, Audi, Mercedes, all of these cars, you get into the exotics, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, etc. They have to charge top dollar for a brand new vehicle. Well, what that does is there's kind of a differentiator, kind of a discrepancy, so to speak, in new car prices and used car prices. And what ends up happening is that gap shifts, okay? Now, it's a percentage, generally speaking, and it used to be such that you'd go buy a brand new car, you drive it off the lot and you lose 10% of the value, maybe 20%, depending on the car, depending on, options, desirability, resale capabilities, those kind of things. Some cars depreciated faster than others. That's not necessarily going to change. As we move forward, once suppliers can meet the demand of the general public for buying cars, that depreciation, if you will come back. The last couple of years with chip shortages, other component shortages, COVID, all those things, we found that used cars were not depreciating. In fact, used cars in some cases were as much or more than a new car. But because you couldn't buy a new car, inventory was so low, people were paying new car prices for used cars. So that won't always be the case. Those are going to be the people that get hammered the hardest when depreciation catches up. If I wanted to go to a Toyota dealership and buy a brand new Toyota Tundra, okay, let's say it's $50,000. I go into that lot, they don't have a new one. But what they do have, instead of a 2022, maybe they have a 2019 or a 2020 with 25 or 30,000 miles on it. Now, they're going to try to sell me that for the same price as what a new truck would cost. Let's say $50,000 in this situation. So I might buy a 3-year-old truck with 30,000 miles and pay $50,000. Now, once Toyota's production gets caught back up and the new truck does come in and they sell it to the next guy for $50,000, he's getting a brand new truck with 0 miles for the same price I just paid. So fast forward another year. Now he's got a used truck that's 1 year old. Let's say he put 10,000 miles on it. My truck is now 4 years old and maybe it has 40,000 miles on it. There's no way that his truck depreciated as fast as mine, right? I've got 4 times the miles and it's 3 years older. So his truck will have depreciated much, much, much less than mine, even though we maybe bought them within months of each other, maybe, again, for the same price at the same place, all those things. I think that was a weird temporary enigma, kind of an anomaly to the system. I don't think that that's going to stay the case for a long time. But on the secondary market side of things, I think that with prices of new vehicles creeping up, the depreciation will stay the same, but we're going to start seeing used cars sell at higher values. I think the days are gone that you could just walk down the street and find a pickup truck or a car or whatever with a for sale sign in the window that says, $500 your best offer. I don't think we're going to see used cars selling that cheap any longer. And I don't think, we may for a little while, especially if we fall into a recession, the economy continues to struggle, inflation continues to climb, gas prices, all those things. But my point is, I'm talking long term. I don't think long term we're going to see inexpensive used cars any longer. I think used cars are always going to now hold a little bit greater value, because the reason that used cars sold for so little is because new cars every year were coming out. So if I have a car that's 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, the older I get, the less expensive it goes. Okay, that's not wrong, and that's still going to be the way cars age. But car manufacturers are constantly screwing around with the prices. There's different cars with different options. There's different trim levels. They now change the models every 3, 4, 5 years. It's not like you can have a 10-year-old pickup that looks the same as today's current brand new pickup. So by doing that, I think they're sort of kind of closing the gap, if you will, on a used car. If if a year ago a used car was the same price as a new car, today it's depreciated quite a bit, but that new car, that's now a year old, may still sell for very, very close to what the newest model or the newest year is selling for. So my point is, I think the days are gone of finding a good deal on a used car, which troubles me because I like to buy cars cheap. I like to fix them and flip them and make a profit. If I can't get into a project for $500, $1,000, or $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 any longer, it kind of challenges me. Good deals are harder to find. You can't just buy $1,000 car, put $1,000 into it and sell it for $5,000. Maybe you can if you find the right deal at the right time. But I don't think those days are going to be around much longer. I think we're going to start seeing used cars holding a little more value for a little bit longer because auto manufacturers can't keep up with demand. They can't. And every time they think they do, the model refreshes and, they have facelifts or a whole new model completely, or they discontinue a line or, whatever it is. I mean, look at Dodge. Okay. Here's a great example. The Challenger and the Charger are both set to go away in 2024. That is 2 years away. It's a year and a half away, really. So those cars are going to go away. There's going to be a demand for those cars. People will still want Chargers and Challengers. My daughter wants a Challenger again. I mean, I sold my Challenger here on the channel a few months ago now, but we were having dinner with some friends last night and they asked my daughter, hey, what kind of car are you going to get now that dad sold the Challenger? She goes, I'm just going to get another Challenger. Okay, well, that might be true. In 2024, she's going to be 16. So the trouble I have is if those cars are no longer being produced new, what's a used one going to cost? There's still going to be a demand. People will still buy them. So I don't think they're going to continue to depreciate the same way a car that's had longevity. You can go find a 1980s or 90s Corolla or Camry or something, Accord, Civic, any of those cars that they're still making today. They're 10 body styles old or whatever it is. They're not building cars with the same long-term mindset. Someone in the 80s, here's a great example. My grandmother had a very early 70s, I want to say, Honda. And she drove that thing, and it may have been a later 70s. I don't recall the exact year, but she drove that thing forever. And I want to say in the late 90s, my grandparents moved out of California into Oregon. They didn't want to bring that car with them, so they sold it. Didn't get very much because it was an old used car, but my grandmother kept that car in immaculate condition. She literally drove down the street from her home to the library to the grocery store and back. And that car was 20-something years old. And I think, honestly, I'm not exaggerating, I think the thing only had 30,000 miles on it. It was like a brand new car. It was a time capsule car. And in hindsight, I wish I could have bought it from her, or I wish that I'd expressed interest in it and maybe she'd have given it to me. I don't know. But they sold it for next to nothing because they didn't want to move the car and bring it with them. And that's that. But, my point again is I think that used cars are going to creep up. Not don't let me confuse you. I don't think they're going to appreciate. I just don't think they're going to depreciate like they have been. I think inflation is going to play a role. I think higher interest rates are going to play a role. Okay, let's talk about interest rates for a minute. If I go buy a brand new car, unless that dealer or that manufacturer offers some sort of incentive, if I have to get financing, interest rates are not what they are, or what they are today is not what they were a year ago. I could have bought, or I did, right, my Audi R8, less than 3% interest on that car. If I were to go get the exact same loan today, I'm probably looking at something like 6 or 6.5%. That is twice the interest. What that means in real money, if I'm paying $200 a month in interest on my car loan, now I'm paying $400 a month in interest on my car loan. Let that sink in. Interest rates play a huge role in the cost of buying a car. So what that means is if I have a budget of $500 a month, I can spend $500 a month on a car. With interest rates where they are, I may have priced myself out of buying brand new and I might have to go used. Maybe I buy something a year or 2 or 3 old. But if it fits my budget, I can then do that, right? So the interest rate's going to restrict new car sales because there's not the same value. If I could go buy a new car or a used car paying 3%, why wouldn't I buy new if I have to finance anyway? Comes with a warranty, it comes with all the bells and whistles, no miles, no whatever. If the prices are the same, using my truck scenario before, if I have to buy a 3-year-old truck at new truck prices versus a new truck at new truck prices, all things being equal, the interest rates are the same, I'm gonna buy new. Why would I not buy new, okay? But now with interest rates rising, vehicle costs rising, inflation rising, people are watching their dollars a little bit closer. So what's going to end up happening is people are going to go back to buying used cars, which means they're not going to depreciate as fast. If there's a huge demand, they're not going to depreciate as fast. So that's a very long-winded explanation. Again, my opinion of the used car market is such that they're not going to depreciate like they used to. I think the days of sub $1,000 cars are gone, long gone. If you find one, you could probably make money on it pretty easily because I don't think that's a thing. I don't think it's going to be a thing. It's going to circle back around to the fundamentals of buying a used car. You want to find something that's got low miles, priced accordingly, good reliability, all the things, right? But most importantly, you want to make sure that you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And so when you're trying to finance a car, you've got to pay attention to interest rates. Shop around. Go to every bank in town, go to every credit outlet in town, figure out what you can do. What are the incentives? What are the promotions? What are the special options? Do you open a savings account at the bank so you can save 1% on your loan? Yeah, do it. Do it. You want to save every dime you can. You want to take advantage of every program and offering you can, because I think they're going to get you on the sale price. I just don't think used cars are going to be as cheap as they once were. Private party versus dealership is another thing. When you're doing a private party sale, you can tend to be a little bit more loose on negotiation. You can go into buying a car maybe more aggressively with a private party than you can with a dealership. On the inverse side of that, though, you can ask more when you're trying to sell a car. I mean, for example, my Challenger, I was asking at least what a dealership would have asked, maybe even more. But I got it. I got real close anyway. And so you control all those things. I mean, if you're not in a rush to sell it, ask for the moon. Who cares, right? I mean, start really high and let someone talk you down. Like I said, that's what I did. I started the car much higher than, I'd ever pay, right? But I wanted to make money on it, and ended up working a couple sweet deals in there and came out just fine. So I think my timing was really, really good, because I think that in the short term, as new cars are kind of coming onto the scene, you're seeing dealerships with a little bit more inventory. And with interest rates rising, people are a little bit more hesitant to go buy a car. So I think we're going to see inventory catch up, but I don't think pricing will fall. I really don't. Not for a while. Not until these car lots have more cars than they know what to do with. And if and when that happens, then maybe they'll offer a sale or an incentive or whatever it is. But I just think the days of good deals are gone. And I think that we're going to start seeing higher prices on used cars. Again, not appreciating. I just think that the depreciation will stop or at least slow way down in the future. So that's all I got for you. Hopefully that all made sense. I didn't pre-script any of this. I was just kind of talking right off the cuff. And, again, this is just my opinion. That's just where I see the future of the used car market going. With new cars, again, going up in price every single year. It's just a struggle, I mean, you can look online at, Tesla's a good example of this, right? They came out with the Model 3 and they said, oh, it's going to be a $30,000 car. I don't think they've ever built a $30,000 car. By the time you add any options, pretty soon it's a $40,000, $45,000 or $50,000 car. So, I mean, even used ones with a lot of miles are selling for more than $30,000. They never built that $30,000 model. So what do you do, right? So again, look for options, look for those kind of things, and that's going to help maintain the value of a car, but it's also going to explain why the value of a car either depreciates or stagnates, and a dealership is going to offer that car up for sale for a high price. So comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know, do you agree or do you disagree? Do you think I'm way off base? Do you think the car market's just going to crash? I've heard that. I've had people tell me car market's going to crash. Your R8 is going to be worth nothing. I disagree. I don't think there's ever going to be not a market for that. I think that, again, sales may slow, but there's always going to be a demand. I don't think it's going to go away. So food for thought, but like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.